Yes, sir, we will start, sir. So welcome back after the break. So welcome back to day 3 of 1 week FDP on artificial intelligence impacts on telemedicine. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome the resource person of session 7, Dr. Karthikeyan. In this regards, I would like to have some small brief introduction about sir. Dr. Karthikeyan Thangavel has been involved with development of IoT-enabled services for healthcare monitoring systems. He has received his BE degree in ECE in 2006 and ME degree in Embedded Systems Technology from Anna University in 2012 and PhD in Wireless Sensor Networks in 2018 from KAHE Coimbatore. He has total of 14 years of experience, out of which 2 years in the field of software testing. He is currently working as a lecturer in the Department of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering at University of Technology and Applied Sciences, Muscat. He has published most of his research papers related to IoT and wireless sensor networks with reputed publishers. He has authored 4 books and book chapters, and he has filed 4 patents. He has published more than 15 research papers in the leading journals and conferences, respectively. His area of interest includes wireless sensor networks, MANET, WiMAX, Wi-Fi, and IoT. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Can we start now?
Yes, sir. You can start sharing the screen.
I think you have to make me as faster. Unable to share my screen.
Sir?
Now I'm unable to share my screen. It shows like.
Sir, 1 minute, sir. Yes, sir. Now you can share.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is
Good morning
visible.
to everyone. Okay, thank you. Good morning to everyone. Thank you for the introduction. Let me start today's topic, IoT in telemedicine. Before starting the session, I would like to tell you the outline of my presentation. So now I'm going to give the introduction of IoT in telemedicine, and also why IoT a right option for telemedicine. Things you should consider before deploying IoT for telemedicine. List of IoT application use cases for telemedicine. Top challenges of IoT in telemedicine. Advancement and disadvantage of IoT in healthcare. So IoT trends in healthcare, future of IoT. And also, I would like to explain 2 of the case studies which we have already completed, myself and my scholar. And finally, I'm going to give the summary of today's presentation. Okay, so first I would like to start with the introduction of IoT. So what is IoT? The Internet of Things refers to the technology that connects physical objects to the internet. While it's a boon for healthcare system, especially telemedicine. So IoT is developing and changing the way healthcare facilities, including remote patient monitoring, are delivered through existing interconnect technology. So if you are looking to integrate the Internet of Things into telemedicine, you need to know more about this technology's potential in detail. But I would like to begin with the facts and figures of IoT from market perspective. With an expected 749 billion US dollar spending on the Internet of Things technology worldwide by 2020. So from this figure, you can understand how big the market is for IoT. So the technology of IoT is likely to be $332 billion by 2025 with 29%. Whereas a report statistics suggests that almost 161 million IoT devices in the healthcare segment will be installed by 2020. So that means if you are considering the IoT, the major part of IoT devices are installed with respect to medical related IoT healthcare devices. The healthcare industry is the largest beneficiary of the Internet of Things, while telemedicine received a new phase. In fact, IoT has streamlined the core concept of telemedicine. So, to provide the best healthcare facilities to people living far off in remote location with no healthcare facilities. Now, come to our 4 points. So, I hope now you can understand little bit the intents of IoT related to the medical field. Now, I would like to begin with what is IoT. So the IoT, Internet of Things in general, connects the physical world to the internet and enables user to collect and share information in real time. So this is what is IoT. So for example, with IoT, you can connect objects such as lights, machines, ACs, fans, so whatever the electrical goods, you can connect with the things to communicate with each other without the human intervention. And what is telemedicine? Even though most of you may be aware of telemedicine, let me give you a brief introduction to it. The core concept of telemedicine is to deliver remote healthcare services to people living in remote areas, especially where there are no healthcare facilities. Besides, it also had a purpose to reduce the burden of hospitals loaded with an n number of patients. So this is the most important thing. Nowadays, the hospitals are occupied fully almost. So if a person wants to consult with the doctor, then here the IoT plays a major role. Why IoT is a right choice for telemedicine? Why IoT is a right choice for telemedicine? Even the IoT can be beneficial for almost every industry organization, corporate offices, manufacturing sectors, smart home, and so on. Healthcare is no exception at all. In contrast, healthcare can be largest beneficiary. So this is what I said. So here, this IoT is the largest beneficiary in terms of medical field. With IoT, healthcare managers can ensure the growth of telemedicine by grabbing the offering that IoT has to offer. For example, the quality of care, enhanced patient monitoring system, real-time healthcare monitoring system, and much more. So even after having so many offerings and facilities, what are the benefits of IoT in telemedicine? It's an important concern for most healthcare organizations. So let's glance through the top benefits of IoT in healthcare. IoT in healthcare. So the first thing which we are going to see is it supports doctors. How it is going to support doctors? Whether it is to access patient's data or examine the wound, rash, or patient health condition improvement, the Internet of Things can be the best supporting innovation for doctors. However, doctors also have to face some of the challenges. Doctors also have to face some of the challenges. For example, they cannot listen to the heartbeat or check blood pressure using IoT technology. We all know the doctors are using some devices to test the blood pressure or the heartbeat kind of things. But with IoT, remotely they cannot monitor. However, there is a solution to it. Wearable devices, you might have heard. For example, the wearable watches nowadays, it is very famous. The wearable devices came into market. So which is powered by IoT plays an important role by allowing doctor to access relevant information. So for example, if the doctor wants to know the heartbeat of the patient, they can use these type of wearable devices. The next thing is real-time health monitoring. So this is one of the important advantage. If technology is boon for humanity, IoT in healthcare can be an example of it. It has plenty of offerings to healthcare, while real-time monitoring is the life-saving feature of IoT. Doctors can get patient's health report every second. Since it is connected online, also it is real-time. So every second, doctors are able to get all the data. It is establishing better and enhanced healthcare facilities. Patients wearing a halter. A halter monitor is nothing but a device which is used to say the heartbeat of a particular patient, to check the abnormalities of particular patient. And also, this is the best made for senior citizen. What it means? This is really disheartening to see many older people struggling to get better medical treatment. Even in urban areas, they are unable to visit by themselves. They need a support. However, with IoT integration, the issue can be resolved successfully. Doctors and hospitals can provide healthcare facilities to senior citizens without letting them leave their home. Technology can help them make their life more comfortable and hassle-free. IoT devices will not only help people, especially senior citizens, it also improve the health condition for the peoples, those who are having the disabilities. So if the peoples are unable to go by themselves, IoT can help. And the things we should consider before deploying IoT for telemedicine. So before deploying this IoT into telemedicine, we need to consider some of the things. What are they? IoT is the need of the hour. We know that, especially in the healthcare sector. However, you can't just get it developed and integrated into your healthcare system. That means with the existing healthcare system, we cannot directly implement the IoT. You need to consider certain aspects of it. They are the following. What are they? The first thing is infrastructure. Even though IoT does not require any complex infrastructure to deploy, we should make sure that there are no last minute hassles. For example, power points, access points for cable, permission for device cabling, no connectivity barrier, proper installation space, and should be ensured earlier to avoid any further glitch. You may also need to have networking staff who will support you from device installation to management. So these are all the things you have to consider under infrastructure. And the other thing is on-site IoT maintenance. We know that this IoT is connected in internet. So the person from somewhere else in the world, they are able to control the device from any part of the world if they are connected with the internet. So if you are considering installing IoT technology into your healthcare system, you have to consider its maintenance. Initially, you may not need to spend on its care, but as it grows older, the IoT devices will get damaged off and then maintenance will be needed. So the starting of installation, for example, 1 or 2 years, you will not be having any issues, but it is getting older. So we need to maintain properly. It will be a challenge and you may be compelled to hire professionals who will look into this matter. However, it will also be helpful for them. And the most important thing is security arrangement, since it is involved with the data of the patients. So the security arrangement is the most important thing here. IoT works on telecommunication along with internet connection, and hence it is crucial for users to have secure connections. It is really a challenge for healthcare managers to keep patients' identity and health information. So here we are having two things. The first one is PII. This is nothing but patient identity information. The another one is PHI. It refers patient health information. So these two informations should be maintained confidentially, and the security is needed much for this. So these type of things they need to consider while storing the information as well as transmitting the information. And finally, device support and testing. You will not take the risk of getting a technical glitch once it is implemented. Since it is online, also real time, so we cannot take any risk of the human lives. So therefore, the device support testing should be done before implementing. Therefore, it is essential to have proper testing and ensure tech support to get the seamless result. If IoT devices are not tested, you may fail to achieve user satisfaction. Testing of IoT devices include their connectivity testing, how properly it is connected. Logistic testing, it is nothing but component testing, how the components are working, whether it is perfectly working or not. Next thing is inventory management. how we are managing the things related to the IoT and life cycle management testing. So for example, if you are using one particular sensor into this IoT, it is IoT for medical devices. For that particular sensor is having some amount of lifetime, for example, 5 years. So until 5 years we can use. After the 5 years, we have to replace the particular sensor. So these things we have to manage properly. And the next thing we are going to see is list of applications, use cases for telemedicine. What are the different application and use cases? The first important application is mobile health. So what is mobile health? IoT has added another feather to the mobile health system that enables doctor to keep track of all vitals, including blood pressure, heartbeat, and etc. As we have discussed earlier, the challenges that doctors have to face with IoT in case of remote monitoring. As we know, doctors are having some devices to find out the blood pressure, also the heartbeat monitoring. But with IoT integrated smart wearable devices, the doctors are able to monitor those things remotely, including the required vitals of the body. With mobile health, handling critical situation will become easy. Therefore, the critical situation will be very easy because of the wearable devices. Next thing is reminder ingestible sensor and devices. What it means. Sometimes or more often, patients forget to take medicines timely. So this is the most important thing. Even doctors also get busy with other work, forgetting that there are patients who need their attention. But these all things are far gone now because of IoT. So with IoT in place, the ingestible sensor. What is ingestible sensor? It is nothing but the sensor we can swallow it. Ingestible sensor can keep them regular. It will intimate, it will give the information that now you have to take this particular medicine. The patients will be reminded to take medicine in time, while doctors will get notification and alert if they have to be examined. Next thing is a remote patient monitoring. So this is what is most important nowadays. So remote patient monitoring is believed to be the sole reason why IoT was introduced in telemedicine. IoT enabled devices for patient monitoring ensure that doctors get all necessary information such as patient's health condition, blood pressure, and so much more remotely. Whereas patients, especially those living in far off areas, do not have to come to the hospital physically to attend treatment. So because of this IoT and wearable devices, the patients do not come to visit the hospitals. So these are all the basic use cases, though you can come with plenty of IoT app use cases in telemedicine. So these are all basic use cases. So there are plenty of use cases are available with related to this IoT. And next thing is the top challenges of IoT in telemedicine. So a saying goes, the IoT values never greater than what management is prepared to do with it. So this is very simple. It is nothing but the management wants to do something with IoT. Accordingly, we have to design the system. We have to design the model. We cannot design as per the IoT procedure, as per the set of rules. It should be as per the management need. How the management is needed. For the particular application, we need this IoT to be implemented. Then we have to stick into it. So this is what is mentioned. So here you can see some of the challenges. What are the challenges now you are seeing? Unauthorized access and vulnerability. That means when it comes to IoT in telemedicine, having a robust security model system. So this is what we have just before discussed. So the security is in threat. Why? Because we have connected the system into internet. So the hackers are able to get the information very easily. Therefore, we need to maintain the security in a proper way. How to improve the security? IoT, if not protected well, will be vulnerable to hack. What if even a single patient data is hacked? It will keep the centralized system at the stack. So if the person is able to track one person's detail, he is able to get the total database. You may not be able to control the situation efficiently. However, proper precaution and timely maintenance along with the team support can help you avoid such issues. The final challenge which we are seeing here is healthcare policies transformation. Even though World Health Organization or World Healthcare is going through a transition, it should be consistent across all states and countries. We know that in some countries they are technically ahead, but some countries are not that much. So we cannot get the help of the technically ahead countries help from our India or underdeveloped countries. So here we need to concentrate the policies and information. The policies related to the healthcare should be maintained properly and it should be worldwide information. For example, many countries follow outdated healthcare systems and regulations, which may create barriers in integrating technology. And now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of IoT in healthcare? Considering the above mentioned challenges of IoT in healthcare, there are some downsides as well as benefits when it comes to the medical IoT. First, we are going to see the different advantages of IoT in healthcare. Different advantages of IoT in healthcare. The all-consuming connection of health devices and data centralization brings many significant benefits to table, such as all-around technological enhancement, rendering hospital visits unnecessary. That means we no need to visit the hospital frequently. Passively accumulating and deeply analyzing important health data, etc. We have already pointed on all these advanced tech capacities enough. The IoT provides a space for fantastic long-term innovations. So here, this is just a starting. We can invent a lot of new things related to medical field and also the cost saving. The next important advantage is cost saving. One of the greatest advantage. So here, things are even better when it comes to the patient cost saving due to fewer hospital journeys as well as accelerated diagnostic and treatment. So we no need to visit, therefore the visiting cost will be reduced. And the accessibility. Doctors can view all the necessary data on command and check real-time patient condition without leaving their office. So from the office itself, from the hospital itself, the doctor can able to monitor the remote patient. And some of the disadvantages also there related to this IoT medical. What are they? The privacy can be potentially undermined. So this is what under security we have just before seen. As we have already mentioned, systems get hacked. Lot of attention will need to be focused on data security, which requires significant additional spendings. Next thing is unauthorized access to centralization. So there is a chance that dishonest interlopers may access centralized system and realize some cruel intention. So global health regulations. International health administrators are already issuing guidelines that must be strictly followed by government medical establishment when they are going to integrate the IoT into medical field. So these may restrict some of the possible improvement of IoT in medical field. Now, trends in telemedicine, IoT trends in telemedicine. Several IoT trends implemented by majorities of startups. The first important thing is wearable. As we have seen many wearables. So here, the major mobile technology providers like Apple and Android are enhancing and updating their authentic wearables, adding them with more health tracking features. We all know that by using these type of wearables, we are able to measure the heart rate, BP, kind of things. And the rest of the world is not shy to follow the tendency. There are numerous wearables are coming into the market every day. Next thing is surgical robotics become a common reality. So this is most important. Human sometimes make mistakes, but if you properly design the machine, it will work properly. So here, the artificial intelligence powered robotic surgical means show to be more precise than real doctors on more than one occasion. There are still limitations and risks involved, but the technology is definitely in the spotlight and is looking to become more widespread in the nearest future. And finally, we are having integration of other prominent technologies with IoT expands the horizon. So here we are having two different technology. One is artificial intelligence AI and augmented reality AR. So by using this, we can have the help of machine learning, big data, blockchain, and smart contracts. By using these concepts, will fuel up the development of IoT in telemedicine. So here, the futures we are going to see. What are the future trends of IoT? The full-blown smart hospitals by 2020. Mobile health as a regular common things on global scale and reduced physical visits to hospital. So this is only an approximate picture of the IoMT. Most of them are either implementing major IoT techniques and capabilities or already have enhanced what that are there in calibration stage. So here in this picture you are seeing the IoT devices, the number of devices are keep on increasing every year. So the last year 2020, almost 161 million devices are manufactured related to this medical field. It will keep on increase. Why? Because the telemedicine is the major stakeholder of IoT. So here almost 30% of devices related to IoT are manufactured. And the next thing is we are going to see case studies. We are going to see the case studies which we have developed and tested already. I just wanted to share this case study with you. The first thing is hidden Markov dynamic time warping model for walking speed detection. In short, we can say HMDTP. The injuries due to unbalanced walk are common for elder persons, and it is a major health issue present all over the world. So this is the thing we are considering in this case study related to elder person, their walking pattern and the unbalanced walking. In some cases, these injuries leads to sudden death as heart attack, and the survey reports that more than 2% of elder persons are dying due to unbalanced walking, and the resulting injuries leads to death. The fear of falling while walking due to nerve issues sometimes is due to stroke, and it is called as cautious gait. Gait is nothing but the walking style. If they are cautious about the walking style, sometimes it misleads and they fall down. So these patients may lose the stride length and gait velocity and fall down easily at a fraction of seconds. So this is the major problem related to the elder peoples. So it is essential to identify the patients for protecting falls based on gait characteristics. As I said before, gait is nothing but the walking pattern. To devise efficient mathematical modeling of gait analysis for identification of lifestyle of physically challenged people. So this is the first thing we are considering. Second thing is to detect any deviation from normal walking pattern to give an alarm. So if the person is deviating from the normal walking pattern, then the system has to give some alarm. Inefficient and select appropriate choice of body wearable sensor which are not burdensome. For example, we need to monitor their walking style and we need to make some alarm. But if you are making lot of wearable devices for that, the people cannot afford. They cannot wear that and they cannot walk properly. So we need to avoid this type of wearable sensors and devices. So the integration of gait analysis and IoT for fall prediction and fall direction. So now we are going to see the methodology, how we are going to achieve this. How we are going to achieve this to measure by using the sensors and giving the alarm. So to implement an effective early prediction and detection system of fall in physically challenged person using concept of gait analysis. So here we are using the concept of gait analysis. That means the walking pattern analysis, how they are walking. So what are the difficulties they are going to face? Next thing is efficiency has been imported to the proposed model by optimizing various attributes that relate to efficient gait analysis through the concept of nature-inspired algorithms. So then by using the concept of nature-inspired algorithms, we have developed this concept. So here you can see what are all the different issues related to the falling. How the elder persons or the disabled persons are falling down. What are all the different reasons behind that? So here you can see two different colors. One is with respect to the home. If they are in home, what are the falling rate? And in the residential institution, what is the falling rate? So here you can see when compared to all other reasons, the most important thing we have to consider is from slippering, tripping and stumbling. From slippering, tripping and stumbling. So this is what we have considered the most important factor which affects the walking pattern. And next, we have just seen what are the different types of gait analysis with respect to walking, with respect to running. So the systematic study of human motion, how the human is moving from one place to other place by using legs, for example, walking or running. It is implemented by eye and brain of observer augmented with instrumentation. So this is what I said. This particular algorithm is called as nature-inspired algorithm. So here we have implemented the algorithm related to the eye and brain movement. The instrumentation serves to measure body movements, mechanics, and activities of muscles. So how the muscles are actively participated while the person is walking, whether it is in a proper condition or in improper condition. Then we have to monitor, we have to give the data into the algorithm and we have to find. And now here you can see the person's walking pattern. So this is, you are seeing a normal walking pattern of a normal person. The first thing is heel face, how the person is starting the walk and which leg he is currently using, the stand face, swing face. In a particular point of time, a person is using two legs simultaneously. There they are having the issue. Therefore, we have to monitor from the starting to the end phase. So we have divided this into two phases. One is stance phase, other is swing phase. The stance phase, normally walking. Swing phase, the leg is moving away from one leg. So these things we have clearly monitored, and finally we have taken the footpath. We have taken the footpath from one path to other path. What is the distance? So this distance we call it as step length. And the total gait cycle, one gait cycle, the length we call it as stride length. Based on the step length and stride length, we have differentiate different walking pattern, nothing but different gait patterns. What are they? So here you can see different walking patterns. The first one is a normal walking pattern. Person is not having any disabilities. The second one is spastic paraplegic. What it means? Paraplegic is a partial paralysis of both legs. If the person is affected by paralysis, then this particular walking style he will be having. It is characterized by progressive weakness and spasms in their legs. The symptoms can start any time in life. It is not only for elder persons. The persons, those who are younger also, sometimes they will be affected with this type of diseases. Most people diagnosed with paraplegic will eventually have difficulty walking and will also see the changes in their gait. Therefore, if the person is affected by this type of disease, then their walking style will be affected. This particular walking style, we have given the name as spastic paraplegic gait. And the next walking style is cerebellar ataxic gait. Cerebellar ataxic gait. What it means? The clinical feature of cerebellar ataxic gait usually includes a widened base, unsteadiness and irregularity of steps, and lateral veering. Locomotion in individual with cerebellar ataxia is characterized by a significantly reduced step with prolonged stance and double limb support duration. So here you can see the step between two legs are prolonged. It is because of the cerebellar ataxic disease. And the next is Parkinsonian gait. This Parkinsonian gait is nothing but a gait exhibited by patient suffering from Parkinson's disease. If the person is affected by Parkinson's disease, then this type of walking style they will be having. It is often described by people with Parkinson's as feeling like being stuck in a place when initiating a step or turning and can increase the risk of falling. So here, if the person is affected by this type of disease, they are unable to move the next step. They are stuck into the particular position. They feel that they are going to fall down. So this is one of the walking style. And finally, we are having the frontal gait. What do you mean by frontal gait? A frontal gait is sometimes described as a magnetic gait, the walk of little steps in a frontal gait disorder. The feet looks like they are stuck to the floor. So here, the pupils are moving very slowly, step by step, slow, small steps. Therefore, they feel like they're stuck into the particular place. So we have also got the footsteps and we have named it as frontal gait. So next, we have seen types of these fall predictions. Types of this fall predictions. What are they? So here, you are seeing the block diagram for fall prediction and prevention. What are the different types of physiologies and kinematics involved in the fall prediction and prevention? As I said before, we have used different sensors to monitor the patient. The person who is affected by different gait pattern, we have connected with the wearable sensors. What are the different sensors we are using? We are using ECG, electrocardiograph, electromyograph, blood pressure, and GSR. GSR is nothing but the galvanic skin response. It is a type of sensor. It is also known as skin conductance sensor. It refers to change in sweat gland activity, which reflect the intensity of participants' emotional state. So the GSR signal is therefore not a representative of the type of emotion, but the intensity of it. So here you are seeing some of the sensors, ECG, EFG. So these are all already we have said. And the most important sensor we have connected is GSR sensor. My voice is audible now?
Yes, sir, it is audible.
So here we have included the GSR sensor. So this GSR sensor is used to find how the pupils are emotionally affected by the help of the skin conductance. Therefore, if the pupil is going to fall down, before that they will feel the fear. From that, we are able to get their feeling and we can give the alarm. So this is the important sensor we are used in this. So by using these sensors, what all we can measure? We can measure neuromuscular disorder. Neuromuscular disorder is a very broad term encompassing a range of conditions that impair the functioning of the muscles, either directly being pathologies of the vulnerable muscles. So here, if the person is affected by any muscle issues, then this will also give the falling of the feet. Therefore, we have to consider this before giving the alarm. And the next thing is gyroscopic sensor. In the kinematic, when the person is moving, first thing we have seen physiology. Okay, so this is related to the physiology thing. But the kinematics, when the person is moving, we have to measure by using different types of sensor. Accelerometer, first thing. How efficiently he is walking, what is the velocity he is walking. This type of information we can get it by using this accelerometer. And what is gyroscope? Gyroscope is a device that can measure and maintain the orientation and the angular velocity of object. Orientation and angular velocity of an object. So here the motion sensor, how efficiently he is moving, and the piezoelectric sensor, which will convert this piezoelectric sensor, which converts the pressure into electrical pulses. Therefore, we are able to measure the foot pattern. By using all these sensors, we are able to get the user profile, the velocity he is moving, acceleration, tilt angle, in which angle he is moving properly. So the next step, or moving away or moving very near, this type of information. The phase transition. This is most important. For example, if it is Parkinson gait, then we know that they are getting stuck. So the next step, by using the phase transition, we cannot measure. Therefore, we need to have the acceleration and velocity, which includes the phase information and the state of the foot, whether it is in moving state or it is idle state, stability and symmetry. So these type of informations we can predict by using the physiology and kinematic sensors. So here, how we have connected the sensor. So this simple image can help us to see how we have connected the sensors with those patients. For example, the first thing is hip dynamic sensor, which is connected with the Bluetooth. Therefore, from the Bluetooth, we can connect the information to our mobile handheld device. So from the mobile device, the information can be transferred to the remote areas, maybe the doctor and the person who is taking care of the elderly person. Okay, so from here, the central axis will be there. The central axis is getting the information of knee angular sensors. Sensors placed in knees will give some information. And also in the bottom of the feet, some of the sensors will be placed, which will give the pressure, shear stress, and angular sensors. So these sensor information all will be connected, and these informations will be given to the particular person. So here you can see what are the different roles of body wearable sensors. What are the different roles of body wearable sensors? These sensors are used to give the classification of movement as well as the measurement of movement. If you are going to classify the movement, how the person movement will be, as we have seen different types of a gait pattern, that is the moving pattern. These informations we can get by using the gait analysis, gait recognition, activity recognition. So these are all already dealt with different researchers, and the movement measurement we have used by using different things. For example, upper limb, lower limb, other limbs, other parts. That means the body parts will be connected with different sensors. By using those sensors, the measurement will be done. And the black diagram. So this is the model we have done. By considering all the factors, we have developed this model. So this is the block diagram for our model. A simple gait recognition process is illustrated here. And the process starts from identifying the human gait. So this is the first thing. Which type of disease he is having. So by having a different foot sensors, we are able to measure what type of gait system, gait analysis. So this is the first step. And the second step is the data acquisition collects the preliminary information, and by using feature representation, the gait features are summarized. The gait features are summarized. So we are getting the raw data. From the data, we have to develop a proper information. So this process done by the next step, that is nothing but data acquisition. And the next thing is feature selection. Using dimensional reduction process, the variation between the normal gait and the abnormal gait is observed. Okay. After selecting the proper feature, we have to find the difference between the normal person's walking pattern to the person who is affected by this disease, and then the classification is performed. So here we have classified. So this is the person's walking pattern, and this is the normal person's walking pattern, and this way his walking pattern differs from the normal walking pattern. So this will be done in the first part of our research. Next thing is workflow. So how we have achieved this? This figure gives the block diagram for gait recognition system used in this model for detecting the gait signals using wearable sensor. So first thing is, as we have connected different sensors into that person, we are getting the information. So these informations we are feeding into the IoT based data handler. So this incorporates IoT from the initial stage as interfacing sensor, which is used to detect the motion of the person. So here the IoT plays a major role. So what we are doing, we have just connected different types of sensor into the person. The sensors are giving some information. So these information we are getting by the use of IoT based data handler. Then this IoT information will feed into data pre-processing. Data pre-processing. Further, it is pre-processed using suitable filters so that necessary portion from the data is to be obtained for further classification. As we are getting the raw information, we have to process it properly and we have to get the needed information. And the next part, what we are doing is segmentation. Segmentation using the Markov random fields model for suitable local features to remove the noises effectively and produce the segmentation results efficiently. Based on the probability distribution, and it is smoothing constraints, the values are updated so that hidden Markov model covers image segmentation process in many image processing applications. Since we are not concentrating much on the image processing here, okay, so already we have developed and we have classified the process. Now the next step is to, we have to give the alarm to the particular person. If he is going to fall down. We have to monitor. So we are concentrating more on the IoT part here. But we need to identify his walking pattern by using different image processing patterns. And finally, we have detect the information. After getting the information from the image processed result, we have detect what type of gait he is having. And finally, this information will feed into cloud. Will feed into cloud. So here we are storing all the information related to that particular patient. Related to that particular patient. So for that we are using this particular mathematical model. Since we are getting two different information, as I said before, the one information from the normal person's walking pattern. The other information is from the patient who is affected by a different types of walking pattern, the different types of gait. Therefore, now we are getting two different information. How to differentiate and how to validate these two informations. So that's what we are using this mathematical modeling. So that is the reason why we are using this mathematical modeling. So here we are using the Euclidean distance between 2 points in either the plane or three-dimensional space measures the length of segment connecting to 2 points. As I said before, if the person is deviating away from the normal pattern or coming near to the normal pattern, then we need to measure the distance between these two patterns. So for that, we are using this Euclidean distance. So this is the concept will give the exact distance between the patterns. Therefore, we are able to find the proper sensitivity and specificity. Number of positive values we have received and sum of true values and false values. So here the true values is nothing but the normal person's walking pattern values, and the false values which is nothing but the person who is affected by different walking pattern. So by using these two patterns we have already having the data by the help of Euclidean distance. Therefore we are now able to find out the sensitivity and specificity of the particular person. So by using these concepts, we are able to find out the person's walking pattern, and finally we can give alarm. So this is in the starting, and we have developed this, we have got some information, and finally I will conclude about this. Now we are going to see the second case study. The second case study, deployment of wearable sensors and gait analysis provides a better solution while tracking the change of the person's state. And this proposed model uses an electronic system using force sensing resistor and body sensor. Already I said we have used many different types of sensor, but in this model we have also included the FSR. FSR is nothing but force sensing resistors, force sensing resistor, and also we have used some other body sensor. So these sensors are used to monitor and update the predicted value of a person for analysis. Using IoT communication, processes performed in the research work by identifying physically challenged person even in crowded area. So this is what is most important. So in the previous one, we have considered only the person who is staying in the home or somewhere else in a particular place. But if the person is moving in a crowded area, there also we need to concentrate the person's walking pattern. There we are using this FSR. There we are using this FSR. So this work includes an ANFIS model for classification and ant colony optimization for optimizing the efficient routing for the IoT network. So here we are also considering the sensitivity information, how much amount of sensitivity information, and if the person is walking at the maximum level, the velocity increases from the maximum level. At one point, the previous model cannot work. So for that reason, we have included a different models. They are ANFIS model and ant colony algorithm. ANFIS model and ant colony algorithm. So here, as like before, you are seeing the future extraction of database, image database. As like before, the first part is normal. We are getting the information by using the sensor. These informations will given to the database and we are comparing extraction from the video frame, video input. All this process done under the gate analysis. That means what? We have just classified the person's walking pattern. So this is the first part. The second part is classification. From the sensors, we are getting the information, and this information now we are feeding into ANFIS classification model. About the ANFIS, now we are next slide we are going to see, but now we are going to give the information to ANFIS model. After that, this ANFIS model is also connected with the pressure sensor. The different sensor which we have already studied, which we have already seen in the previous model. Also here we have included the pressure sensor. So this pressure sensor also gives some input. Based on these two inputs, the status of the person will be defined. So this is coming under the optimization. And now we are also concentrating the sensitivity of the information and the authenticity of the information. Therefore, here we are using anti-colony optimization. So this anti-colony optimization we are using for routing the model, and after routing, the informations can be given to the cloud. So here the notable thing is we have connected one more sensor, as well as the connection between the cloud with IoT. The efficiency is increased and the time taken for the data to reach the cloud is increased. Therefore, we can give the alarm. We can give the alarm as early as possible when compared to the previous model. And what is ANFIS model? So here you are seeing a simple illustration of ANFIS model. It is included 5 layers of architecture. So here you are seeing total 5 layers of architecture. The input layer and the second layer are used to validate the information received through the sensor and based on threshold value that is set in the system model. And the classification is performed by processing the data set. So the first 2 layers are used to get the information from the sensors. And also in the system here we have set the threshold value. If the value reaches beyond the threshold, then the system has to give the alarm immediately. So this is the function of the first 2 layers. And now this process is performed in the consecutive layers. After that, once it reaches the proper level, then it gives alarm. Otherwise, it will be given to the next layer. And the final result is summarization of all over data from the person's wearable sensor and pressure sensor. Therefore, here what we are doing by using this ANFIS model, we are having 5 different parts, 5 different layers. Each layer the data is processed. So we will be getting a proper information. Only the true values we are getting. The false information will be avoided during the process, during the transmission of data. Why? Because now you are seeing the second layer. The second layer itself, you can see the pi layer. It is having 2 different inputs. From the input, it has to decide which is correct. Like that, each layer is having 2 different inputs. Okay, so by using all these different values from the sensors, they can decide a proper information, and the sensitivity of the information will become high. Because of this process. And now, as like the previous model, here we have connected different sensors and how we are placing those sensors. So that's what you are seeing in this figure. So here, the placement of food sensor and body wearable sensor. So there are 5 sensors we have connected. There are 5 sensors we have connected. So each layer is connected with these sensors. Each layer of ANFIS model is connected with these values. Where there we have connected, if you start from the foot, ankle, when they are walking, their hand also moving front and back. So that particular thing also we have measured here. And also the most important thing is the pressure sensor. The pressure sensor is placed under the foot. The foot selection is subdivided into 3 sections. So this particular foot sensor, so this is what I said. So here we have included the one more sensor, that is the foot sensor, which is subdivided into 3 sections as forefoot, midfoot, and hindfoot. What it means? Sensors are placed in all 3 sections, and the particular midfoot contains the bones to support the walking style. Okay, so there are 3 different sensors we have connected in the foot. What are they? Forefoot, midfoot, and hindfoot. So these are all the different sensors we have connected. So here, these sensor, the hindfoot includes the heel bones and direct angle joint. The body wearable sensor are placed on the legs and hip areas and also the hands. So because of these different sensor, the information accurately monitored. Also, we are having the ANFIS model. Therefore, only the true information we are receiving and we have processed. The challenged person used their sticks for balancing these sensors that are in contact with physical movement sensor, providing the information based on the movement. So if the person is using the stick, they no need to wear the sensor. By using the stick movement itself, we are able to get the information. And sending the collected information from the 5 different places along with the information from the food sensor. Okay, so already the 5 sensors we have included in the previous model, but here this food sensor, which is also divided into 3 types. So these 3 sensors also included here. All the 8 types of informations are given to the ANFIS model for classification purpose. So this is what is most important. So this is the reason why we have developed this second model. So what are the results we are getting? What are the results we are getting here? Using the sensors in this model, the recognition rate is measured in percentage, and the sensor are placed in a right arm, left leg, right leg, and pelvis region. Okay, so already the left arm, left leg, right leg, pelvis region, right arm, all we have, in all the places we have placed the sensors. But in this model, in the foot area, we have placed 3 different sensors. Therefore, 5 plus 3, totally 8 sensors we are having. So these 8 sensors are giving proper information. But now you can see in this, the left leg and right leg detection rate is high when compared to other areas. For example, compared to right arm, compared to pelvis region, compared to left arm. These 2 areas, the detection rate percentage is high, more than 90%. These 2 are having more than 90%. It is because of we have connected in these 2 areas, we have connected 3 different sensors. But in other areas, we have connected only 1 sensor. So that is the reason why the detection rate is high when compared to other regions. the detection rate is high when compared to other regions. And it is observed that the detection rate reaches maximum for right leg and left leg compared to other portions. Now we have got this particular result by using this ACO on-face model. Based on the walking speed, the detection rate changes, and it is plotted in the figure for this model. It is observed that, okay, now you can see the speed increases. There are two models you are seeing now in this figure. The first one is the blue color, you are seeing neural network model, which is already existing model. And our proposed model is ANFIS model. So this ANFIS model, if the speed of the person, that means the walking speed of the person increases, then the recognition rate is keep on decreasing. Now you can see the blue color bar is keep on decreasing. Okay, but in case of our proposed ANFIS model, this recognition rate is keep on increasing. That means what? It recognizes properly the walking pattern of the particular person, also efficiently. Then only we are able to get the information in a proper way, and we can give the alarm on time. So here it is observed that this model has better recognition rate than the neural network model. As the speed increases, the performance of the neural network model lags as the speed crosses 6 to 8 kilometers. Now you can clearly see if it reaches 6 kilometers, from 6 kilometers to 7.5, it is keep on decreasing. And now the next result, it is nothing but the recognition rate based on the gait cycle is described in this particular figure compared with neural network model. The plot describes that the proposed model has better recognition rate than existing model, that is 20% higher. Now you can see the gait cycles for our proposed ANFIS model and the existing neural network model. So this proposed model, anyway, we have done it already and we have got the result. So here, this particular model is having more than 80% of recognition rate. Almost it reaches 100%. But other gait cycles, other models are not at all coming closer to this particular model. That means what? We can identify the pattern and we can give the information immediately to the person. So this is what is most important. Once the person is falling down, after that if you are going to give the information, it is not needed. It is not necessary. So what we have to do is, when they are walking, when they are going to fall down, before that we have to predict and we have to pass the information immediately. And also in the future we can include and we can stop by using some mechanical actions, so that we have not found till date and we are in the process.
Sir, may I ask one question?
Can I complete, sir?
Okay.
Yes. So from these two models, we have concluded these points. From the model 1, it is a combination of hidden Markov model and adaptive dynamic time warping model. So which is used for identification of physically challenged person and disabled person from crowded area, so that an alert system informs the status of patient through communicate devices. This model prevents the person from falling and predicts the fault ratio using the proposed mathematical model, that is LCL model. And here the classification results are sent to the related person through IoT architecture, and also IoT is used to collect the information from the sensor. So here the IoT plays a major role. We are getting the information from the sensor using IoT, and these informations are forwarded to the person who is taking care of this affected person by using the IoT concept. So this gait identification model is suitable for elder persons and persons who are affected with walking disabilities, so that proper alert and medication will be provided within the short duration of fall time. So this is the reason why we are concentrating more on the sensitivity and the information receiving rate, so that we are able to predict faster and we can give the alarm. We can stop the prediction. We can stop the falling rate. And also, further work in this area can be carried out in better classification model along with optimization for analyzing real-time performance for different men and women having different types of disabilities. So these are all the things we have concluded with our model 1. And in the model 2, it is a combination of adaptive neurofuzzy inference system and ant colony optimization for better recognition. So in this model, as I said before, we have included 3 more sensors, and also we have got one more algorithm called ANFIS algorithm. In this, we have gone through 5 stages. So all these stages, we are filtering the data and we are getting exactly the correct data, so that we can classify properly the walking style and we can give the alarm as early as possible. So different sensors are used to collect the information from the person, and based on the information, the ANFIS model provides classification result as prediction mechanism. If there is a change in the walking style, the corresponding classification results are forwarded to a team of doctors or other persons through the cloud IoT network. So here, after getting all the informations, these informations will be forwarded to the IoT cloud, and the team of doctor can evaluate the information and they can give the advice accordingly. So that is suitable for elderly persons and physically disabled person in order to avoid fall. So these are all the conclusion we came across while we have got the results of the second model. So here we are going to see the summary of today's presentation. So let us emphasize once more that the IoT can be nothing short of a revolution in the field as important on the global scale as healthcare. So there are still many difficulties, peculiarities, and technological obstacles to overcome. And even though there are currently downsides as well as advantages to the concept, things seem to go very well for the technological innovations. We are pretty confident that if you ask most medical professionals about their opinion on the subject, they will say that full IoT in telemedicine integration and adaptation is the only logical way of development for advanced medical in the future. With that being said, enjoy the life-saving, health-improving foods of the massive technological in progress. So these are all the databases we have used, and these are all the references. Thank you all for your patient listening. Now you can ask your queries. Thank you.
Sir, very nice presentation. But
Thank you,
one single question from my end. If you can go to the result section of your slide, and it will be easy for me to ask the question.
Okay.
For the line chart.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
this one.
Yes,
Here you have normalized your gate cycle to 120 numbers of point.
Yes,
Am I right? 120
Yes,
number. But gate cycle generally, as per literature, it is normalized up to 100%. I mean, 101 numbers of point. So if I think,
Okay.
that your this is up to 100 is the complete gate cycle, then 110 and 120
Okay.
is the repetition of the same surfaces might be.
No,
So
sir. Actually, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
so what is visible from here for your proposed model, when the gate cycle percentage is 10, it is about 80% of recognition rate performance. But when it is crossing the 100%, that means it is repeating the same phase again, then its performance is upgraded up to near about 100%, and
Okay.
then it is stagnant. So for the same surface, initially it was 80% of recognition rate, and the same surface for the next case cycle, next cycle, it is getting near about 100%. That means is it mean that if I take for example 10 numbers of gate cycle, then your performance will reach to 100%?
No, sir. Let me explain, sir. Actually, the gate cycle which you are talking about is not percentage, sir. It is a number, and the recognition rate is in percentage. When you start from the zero, that means one gate cycle. I will show you in the diagram so that it is easy for you to understand. Right. So this is one gate cycle. So here you can see this starting one footprint here he is placing and another footprint from the 1 to 2 until here. This is one gate cycle. That means he is walking continuously. So that means that is not a percentage. First starting 0 to 1 gate cycle, another gate cycle. He is continuously walking. When he is continuously walking, it is keep on increasing the number. It is not a percentage. It goes 100, 200, whatever it is. But if it is keep on increasing, what is the rate we are getting? That is the percentage. What is the rate of, like as you said here, the recognition? How we are recognizing this particular gait pattern, the walking pattern. So that is what we are mentioning in the percentage. But this is nothing but how many steps he is walking. Like one gait cycle is one particular step. Something like that you have to understand, sir, here.
So that means this is uh, the unit of the x-axis is steps. So that means
Yes,
it is
yes.
10 steps, 20 steps, 30 steps, 40 steps.
Correct, correct. Yes, sir, correct.
So it will be the labeling might be number of steps.
Correct.
Instead of gate cycle, it should be number of steps. That means
Yes.
if it is 10 steps, that it contain almost 10 gate cycles.
Yes.
If it is if the number 10 represent 10 numbers of
10
steps,
means, no, 10 means it is around 20 steps. 2 steps, 1 gate cycle. That's what I have
you are
shown just before.
okay. You are considering both limbs. Both limbs.
Both
You are
limbs. Yes, correct. Yes, correct.
so that means 20 steps. It is actually
20
20
steps.
steps. So
10 gate cycle.
10 gate cycles. So 10
Yes,
means 10 numbers of gate cycles. Okay.
correct, correct.
Another question is that just for the previous bar chart, if you
Yes, sir.
can go.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah. Here, when the speed is 1.5 kilometer per hour, we are seeing that there is a big jump from 1.5 kilometer per hour to 2 kilometer per hour. Why is
That
this
means they're just starting. We need some time to get the information from the sensors. This particular starting period, we cannot get any information. If the person is keep on walking this 1.5 kilometers, then it is keep on increasing. But it is definitely goes beyond the 1.5 kilometers per hour. All the persons in the planet Earth. So definitely we will be getting more information, but this is a starting point, means zero level until 1.5 speed. It is like considered zero level. That means he is just starting.
Okay. Okay.
When he is starting, he is not going to fall down.
Okay. Okay. How the speed was measuring?
By placing the sensors, accelerometer sensors.
Accelerometer sensors. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. It's Padmalaya. So just I have some questions. So what is the cost of the sensor, sir?
It is based on the sensitivity, ma'am. It comes around some 1,500, starting from 1,500 onwards, we are getting. And if you are,
Sir,
if you
then,
want this, yes, ma'am.
So what is the simulation tool, sir? Whatever results you obtain, what is the tool you use, sir?
MATLAB, ma'am.
Achha, through MATLAB. So, sir,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
go to the SEO, sir, and colony optimization. I have a question there. That slide.
Yes, ma'am. This one, ma'am.
Sir. And colony optimization, SEO. Actually, this optimization and colony optimization with sensor network, I have some result. So if
Okay,
I
ma'am.
will give you that result part, can you integrate here?
No, ma'am. Actually, once if you get the information from the sensor, those informations we have to feed into this ant colony optimization. So this particular ant colony optimization, we are using only for this
Yes,
purpose.
sir.
Here, from the person status to the cloud storage. So we are just transferring the
Yes, sir.
information by using the this particular routing model. That's it. So here it is no way
That
connected
particular,
with.
sir, that particular routing model I am having.
Okay.
Actually, that I want to integrate with your problem. Suppose I will give that particular SEO model here, whether you can
Okay.
integrate with your proposed model. That is my
Yes,
question.
yes. But that particular ant colony optimization should accommodate the number of input variables and everything based on my particular input information.
Yes, yes, sir. It is very interesting. I liked your proposal. So I am working in
Okay.
sensor network and
Okay,
routing
ma'am.
optimization also.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. We'll do it, ma'am.
Achha, okay, sir. So just that sensor cost around 1,000 you are telling, na? Body sensor, whatever, how many
It
sensors we are using.
starts from 1,500, ma'am, and based on the sensitivity, it varies.
Achha. Then, sir, that is whenever we are going for this classification model, you are getting some data set, no, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So that data set, which data set, sir?
Ma'am, actually, we are getting the data set from the already existing databases. Only very few informations we have got from the real time and from the existing databases which is already available, and I have already shown here. So here you can see.
Just this information. Okay, this data set you are taking, then you are integrating with that
Yes,
classification
ma'am.
model.
Yes. Yes,
Actually,
ma'am.
yes, sir. All these things I am working because with the educational data set, then sensor network, all these things I am working as it is related with your work. So I am interested to work with you. That's why I am asking
Sure, ma'am.
very details.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. It is very nice, and you are correlating this data science to the sensor network. It is
Thank you.
possible for us also to integrate. So I'll definitely I'll collaborate with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sir, another question from again from my end.
Yes, sir, please.
As you are using a wearable sensor and you are
Okay.
proposing to extend your work for the pathological population,
Okay.
then wearing a sensor for a normal subject also it is very troublesome.
Okay.
It may, as literature say, that it may can alter their normal pattern of walking. So
Yes,
if
sir.
we are applying these wearable devices to the some pathological population having a severe abnormality, then definitely it will affect their as usual normal pattern. So
Yes.
how
Yes.
you are dealing with this problem?
That is one of the issue we are facing, but accordingly we have to design the sensor, sir. For example, the person's status, if he is able to wear the particular sensor, then accordingly we have to design. If not, we have to change the design of the sensor. We have to reduce the weight and we have to change the geometric sizes and everything based on the person.
Oh, okay.
It is only our wish. We have to design by ourselves.
Okay.
Okay.
So no more questions? So thank you, sir. Thank you for
Thank you.
clearly explaining all the concepts like case studies, different models, methodologies,
Thank you.
whatever you have used. I hope that this will be for the participants, this will would have gained a lot of knowledge in this particularly they are doing in that particular research area. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Participants, you can join for the next session at 2 o'clock.
Can I leave the meeting now?
Yes, sir. The attendance link is already posted in the Zoom chat box. If you haven't filled, please fill it for this session because attendance is taken for each and every session.